He failed 100 times, but he refused to quit. At 24 years old, Daniel had nothing. No successful career, no savings, no expensive car, and no one believed he could make it. Every morning, he woke up before sunrise and went to a small warehouse to work a job he hated. But there was one thing Daniel had that nobody could take away from him. A dream. He wanted to build his own business. So every night after work, while his friends were relaxing, Daniel was learning. He watched videos, he read books, he practiced new skills, and finally, he launched his first small business. He failed. His second idea failed too. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth. People started laughing at him. One friend told him, "You should stop. Maybe business just isn't for you." Daniel went home that night and stared at himself in the mirror. For a moment, he wanted to give up. Then he remembered something his father had told him. Failure doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're learning. The next morning, Daniel started again. Failure number 20, then 35, then 50, then 99, and finally, failure number 100. Daniel had almost no money left. But instead of quitting, he asked himself one question. What did all these failures teach me? He looked at every mistake. He studied every failure. And he built one more business, not from hope alone, but from everything he had learned. This time, something changed. One customer came, then 10, then 100. Within a few years, Daniel's small idea became a successful company. One day, the same person who had told him to quit asked, "How did you succeed?" Daniel smiled and said, "I didn't succeed because I was smarter than everyone else. I succeeded because I stayed when everyone else would have left." Remember this. You may fail. You may get rejected. People may laugh at your dream. You may even feel like giving up. But your current situation is not your final destination. One failure is an event. It is not your identity. So if you're struggling today, keep going. If nobody believes in you, believe in yourself. And if you fall 100 times, stand up 101 times. Because sometimes, success isn't waiting for the person who never fails. It's waiting for the person who refuses to quit. The day he refused to give up, Michael had a dream. He wanted to build a successful business and change his family's life. But life didn't go the way he planned. At 25, he lost his job. At 27, his business failed. At 29, he was buried in debt. People around him started saying, "Maybe you should give up." For a moment, Michael believed them. One night, he sat alone in his small apartment, looking at the bills on his table. He felt like a complete failure. Then he looked at an old picture of his parents. He remembered everything they had sacrificed for him. Michael wiped his tears and said, "I may have failed, but I am not finished." The next morning, he started again. He woke up before sunrise. He learned new skills. He applied for jobs. He worked during the day and studied at night. Some days were difficult. Some days he wanted to quit. But every time he felt like giving up, he reminded himself, success doesn't belong to the person who never falls. It belongs to the person who keeps getting back up. Months passed. Then one opportunity changed everything. Michael got a better job. He paid off his debts. A few years later, he started another business. This time, he succeeded. But when people asked him about his success, Michael didn't talk about money. He said, "My greatest achievement wasn't becoming successful. It was refusing to give up when I had every reason to quit." Remember this. Your current situation is not your final destination. You may be struggling today. You may have failed. You may feel like nobody believes in you. But your story isn't over. Keep learning, keep working, keep believing, and most importantly, never give up on yourself. Because sometimes, the moment you are ready to quit is the moment you are closest to a breakthrough. If you enjoyed this motivational story, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with your friends and family. And remember, your future is still waiting for you. Keep going. The boy who refused to quit. Every morning at 5 a.m., a young man named Daniel woke up in a small apartment in Chicago. He had a simple dream. He wanted to build a successful business and give his mother a better life. But there was one problem. Daniel had almost no money. He worked during the day at a small grocery store and delivered food at night. After coming home exhausted, he spent another 2 hours learning about business and improving his skills. People around him laughed. One friend told him, "Be realistic. People like us don't become successful." Daniel smiled and said, "Maybe you're right. But I'm still going to try." Months passed. Daniel started his first small online business. And it failed. He lost almost all the money he had saved. His friends told him, "We told you so." Daniel went home that night, sat quietly in his room, and looked at his mother's old photograph. For a moment, he wanted to give up. Then he remembered something his mother had told him when he was a child. Failure doesn't mean you are finished. It means you have learned something. The next morning, Daniel woke up at 5 a.m. again. He started over. This time, he studied his mistakes. He learned new skills. He worked harder. And most importantly, he refused to quit. His second business failed too. Then the third. But Daniel kept going. After 3 years of failures, sacrifices, and countless sleepless nights, something finally changed. His fourth business started growing. One customer became 10, 10 became 100, and eventually, Daniel's small idea became a successful company. Years later, Daniel bought his mother a beautiful house. She stood at the front door with tears in her eyes. Daniel hugged her and said, "Mom, we finally made it." She smiled and replied, "No, Daniel, you made it the day you decided not to quit." Daniel realized something that day. Success isn't always about being the smartest person. It isn't about having the most money. Sometimes, success simply belongs to the person who is willing to stand up one more time after everyone else has walked away. So if you're struggling today, if you've failed, if people are laughing at your dreams, don't give up. Your story isn't over yet. The chapter you're struggling through today may become the chapter you are most proud of tomorrow. Keep going, believe in yourself, and never quit. If this story inspired you, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs motivation today. The day he stopped making excuses. At 27, Jake had nothing to show for the dreams he once had. Every morning, he woke up tired. He hated his job. He was broke. His friends were moving forward, getting married, buying homes, building careers. And Jake, he kept telling himself the same thing. Tomorrow, I'll start. Tomorrow became next week. Next week became next month. And before he realized it, years had passed. One rainy Monday morning, Jake looked at himself in the mirror and whispered, "I'm not tired of life. I'm tired of being the same person." That sentence changed everything. The next morning, Jake woke up at 5 a.m. Not because he felt motivated. He didn't. He wanted to stay in bed. But for the first time, he understood something. You don't need motivation to change your life. You need a decision. He started with 30 minutes of exercise. Then he read for 20 minutes. He spent 1 hour learning a skill that could help him earn more money. And every night, he wrote down one thing he had accomplished. Some days were terrible. Some days he failed. Sometimes he wanted to quit. But he kept showing up. After 30 days, nobody noticed. After 60 days, almost nobody noticed. After 90 days, Jake noticed. He was stronger, more confident, more disciplined. 6 months later, he got a better job. 1 year later, he had completely changed his life. But the biggest change wasn't his bank account. It wasn't his body. It wasn't his job. It was the person he had become. One evening, Jake returned to the same mirror where he had once called himself a failure. He smiled and said, "I didn't change my life in 1 day. I changed my life by refusing to waste another day." Remember this, you don't have to become successful overnight. You just have to become better than yesterday. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start with what you have. Start where you are. And most importantly, don't quit before your life has a chance to change. If this story inspired you, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today.